What's going on, guys? This is Dealer here back again with another RDX podcast, the weekly podcast. We talk about everything relevant in gaming, primarily Xbox, as you guys know, and we got all kinds of good subjects, including the Spider-Man Downgrade debacle. We're going to give all of our opinions on that. So if you want the absolute truth about everything that's going on with this game, all you got to do is listen. And we've talked about some things in the past as well that people are just now finding out with Spider-Man. So we talked about that on a few shows ago, and it's all there. So definitely some Scarlett stuff. Phil Spencer really dropping some big news on Twitter. Pretty big stuff. But, of course, we got to do some intros. We've got Boom. Thanks for coming on, bud.
Hey, dude, thanks so much for the invite. I do greatly appreciate it. I did a check off of my bucket list. I always wanted to guest on RDX, so I appreciate the invite, dude.
Yeah, no problem, brother. And you've been witnessing all the shit on Twitter, too, so, you know, that's doubly as handy. We've also got So Shady of the Sesh Empire. How you been?
I've been damn good, man. Thanks a lot. Ever since that reveal of Cyberpunk yesterday, I've been flipping through some augmentation magazines, just wondering what I'm going to replace my face with. A couple sweet legs like that dude in the trailer.
Well, I mean, if you're like the chick in the mirror, you just rip your face off and set it on the table. We've also got Colt Eastwood, the naughty dog of YouTube.
What's going on? I'm pretty surprised. I didn't think we would have way more to talk about after Gamescom had settled. So tonight's going to be really good.
Yeah, really, really, really good discussion. Hopefully those listening are just as open-minded about everything as we are. And, of course, we've got D-Batch. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? Just got back from an event that I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, an LG Samsung event. So I was rushing home. I can't wait to get into the topics, some juicy things to talk about. Thankfully, you know, the gaming news is ramping up. I can't wait to get into these topics.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And I want to start by talking about the RDX show sponsors. They power the show. If you want to become a sponsor of the show, check out the link down below, the Patreon link. We got Channing Pennington. We got John Yoon. We've got Mill S. Chief Exec. We got Early Mendenthal. We got Guillermo Cabillo. We've got Lethal Papa, Biggie 2316, and the Darge Knight. Thank you guys so much for what you guys do. And we're going to start, ramp topics up as we go. We'll get to Spider-Man here in, I don't know, a few minutes. But we got some little things to touch on while people filter into the room. We don't want to repeat everything. So I'm going to start with the September 2018 Games with Gold. For one, for the Xbox One, you've got the Prison Architect. It's kind of a smaller game. You've got Live Lock. And then for the 360, you've got Lego Star Wars 3. And you've got Sega Vintage Collection Monster Hunter. I mean, is anybody here kind of shady? What do you think about this lineup this month compared to last month?
It's rough, man. I got to say it's rough. I mean, I enjoy the smaller games that I'm not going to buy when it comes to, you know, my free quote-unquote titles. But not so much this month. I'm sure I'll give them a try, but it's not a thumbs up from Shady.
Okay. It sounds like you're on American or whatever it is. It's not good for me, dog. It's a little bit pitchy.
It's a little bit pitchy. It turned me a little bit bitchy, you know.
Now pass me another Coke label out for the cameras.
Colt, did you get a look at this stuff?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of, they gave us like the last Star Wars Lego game that they haven't given out yet. I'll mess around with that for a minute or two, but that Live Lock is like an isometric shooter. Looks kind of cool. Rand did a review of it, and I'm probably going to watch that review tonight and see what that game's all about. But yeah, it's, you know, I didn't expect much. I knew it was a big month. We're going into the fall, and Games with Gold usually isn't very big during that time.
Yeah, I'm noticing a trend. You know, you might have like last month was really good, and then you've got this month, which some may consider a step down, but maybe you don't own these games, so maybe it's better for you. It just really varies. Boom. Quick thoughts, man, on some of these games. Are you interested?
Well, you know, here's the thing. You know, I always heard the saying you shouldn't complain about free games, but you know what? We are paying for the service, and you do want quality. Now, I'm going to say this: Live Lock looks incredible. I rent, you know, because I've never seen it before. I watched the video. I want to watch Rand's review on it because I want to hear what he has to say. But they're calling it a Diablo clone just with guns, and that immediately piqued my interest. Star Wars and of course, you know, Monster World. You know, I could definitely pass on those. And the Prison Architect is definitely just not for me. but at least I get one good game, and it is new, for me anyway. So I'm disappointed, but I am also expecting that we do have these up and down months. You're 100% right with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Live Lock. I think you're in some mech suits, right? You've got
Yes.
an exosuit.
I'm associated. You might be going up a little bit here after this Live Lock info. I was ignorant on the title. I'm like, oh, whatever that is. It sounds good.
It's a top-down twin stick shooter.
Sold.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's slower than like that Android Cactus game. It looks like, but we'll see.
Yeah, let us know in the chat what you think about September 2018 Games of Gold. Myself, it's like many others for me. I own pretty much everything I want to own already, so I don't own a lot of these, so I might actually get more use out of these than some previous ones. So, like I said, it kind of varies. I'm not really all that excited for it either.
I think I'm the only one that's excited for Prison Architect. Like, am I really the only one that wants to play that game?
Why do you want to play that one, Attic?
Because I like
being home.
Look, man, I like the ideal.
You need to tell us, Attic?
I need somewhere to throw you guys in. Like, let's be real here. Sooner or later, I got to take you guys to the big house. Like,
well, hey, just don't.
I'm going to put a bunch of PlayStations at every door.
I've got one right in front of me. Yeah, I don't know, Attic. You kind of you like it, like it. What's going on?
It is what it is. I don't really care for Games of Gold. I don't really even give it too much thought. I do usually every month I get one game that I'm like, I guess I could try that. But for some reason my fraud self goes on there and downloads them anyway. So
just in case, right? Like the nieces come over or something, and you can, you got all these games they could download in a second if they want to play it or something.
Yeah, my nieces aren't even touching my shit, dude. They ain't gonna throw my controller everywhere.
Oh god. Well, that's all fixed with a drop kick. So basically, you're not really all that looking forward to them either. Let us know, like I said in the chat, what you guys think about all this. I got some quicker fire topics. If you guys want to stop on any one of these, feel free to do so. So I'm going to start with the fact that 343 are evaluating Halo Reach for an addition to the Master Chief Collection. So they could be adding that sooner than later. They're kind of looking into it, seeing what they can do for the game.
I hope
That'd be
so.
sweet. Is there any word that ODST in the Master Chief has also got 4K in that
Yes.
update?
ODSTD is updated.
Hey, excellent.
Yeah, all of them are updated. I actually tested that out just for the topic, but I didn't have enough time to get to all of them. I just tested Halo 1, and I can kind of give my initial impressions there. Visual quality for Forza Horizon 4 will be unmatched, according to a developer, and I'm assuming he's talking about open world racing games. And don't forget, you got that 60 as well. It's a big part of it. I'm just getting more and more hype for Forza as it gets closer, guys, especially with some of these previews coming out.
Unbelievable. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So for racing fans, you definitely gotta look forward to this. A lot of people in the chat looking forward to this as well. We've also got Rainbow Six Siege hitting over 120 FPS plus on the Xbox One X if you disable VSync, which is interesting. Yeah, like it's some stupid frame rate. So to put it to you this way, it's one of the few games where you can actually take advantage of the 120 hertz mode on the Xbox One X if you have a monitor that supports that.
Would you guys consider that an advantage?
Definitely.
I don't know. I mean, it's smoother, but
not if it's all over the place. No,
you're not moving any faster. A lot of people out there think that frames per second is like game speed. It's not. It's smoothness.
Yeah, it's smoother. But there are TVs that support it. Like a lot of people that got the NU 8000s or this year's Q7s or Q6 or Q8s or Q9s do support that game at 120 hertz. So if you have 1440p or 1080p, you will actually get to see those 120 frames per second. So excellent.
And those, like some of the new QLEDs and stuff have a 1080 mode, right?
Yeah, the QLEDs and the NU 8000 and up, and the QLEDs have a 1080p 120 hertz, 1440p 120 hertz mode.
Oh, but it won't support 4K 120 hertz.
No, it's 4K 60 hertz. Those TVs, I would presume that next year.
Wait, how are these those monitors? They have 4K monitors that go up to 120 hertz and 144. There might be. I haven't seen any. I've seen them at more 4K 60 hertz monitors. I know that. I'm sorry. I just hear PC guys tell me all the time they're playing at 4K 120 frames per second.
There might be a 4K 120.
There is the 4K 144, but you have to overclock it, and it does that. And while you do that, it also reduces color depth or bitrate or something.
You have to overclock the monitor.
So they're probably using FRTC. It goes down to 8 bits, and then they overclock it. But I do know that NVIDIA next year, they are releasing some G-Sync monitors that will support 4K 144 hertz if you have $5,000 handy.
Can you Bitcoin mine with that monitor? Just plug that thing in with a big fan behind it.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to over 350 people watching us live already, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 300 before the end of the show. We got some great topics coming up. Devil May Cry 5, Colt. What's going on with that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, give me a big shout if you guys are actually starting to look at this game. When they showed it at Gamescom, I was like, "Wow, look at those huge bosses! Like this is." I wish that we saw
more impressively, like the destruction.
Yes. The particle effects. Basically, what happened is Digital Foundry got to play a couple hours of it, and the 3 different staff from Digital Foundry recorded their gameplay at 4K. They said as far as what they've seen in this build. They're pretty sure it's native 4K, but they said that's up for final analysis when the final game comes out. So basically what they're seeing is basically a locked 60 frames at native 4K on the Xbox One X, and so they're really impressed.
And that's
I'm excited to see what the PC
saying that as of right now, that's what they're pretty sure it's running at 4K 60 frames.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying that, and they're saying it could change, and they need to do further analysis. But if you know how they do things, they take several screenshots, and they count the pixel and the resolution, and they get.
I guess, but they also they made a lot of mistakes as well. Like they thought Origins was checkerboarded and stuff. I'm still, I don't know. That seems a little too for how good that game looks. I mean, like realistic graphics was their number one priority. They said.
Yes.
I'm not sure I'm buying it, but if it looks great, then. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. It comes out in a little less than a year, so it's definitely got some time to be polished and do all that good stuff.
I'll say this: Digital Foundry, I'm sure after the last debacle, they're taking their time to count the pixels and to look at the edges and the steps of of these pixels to see if it's checkerboarding or whatnot. So
I don't think they can tell. I don't think
they are having problems.
I think it's gotten to the point where they can't tell when some of these games are checkerboarded. And I've said this before. I still think some of these games are checkerboarded that they're saying are just 4K. And there's a few that I'm like, that doesn't match up to the performance profile of 6 teraflops. So it just kind of depends. I think they're just really starting to struggle. Checkerboarding's getting so much better than it was in 2016 that they're having a hard time finding that with all that post-processing. But
they're also praising this what's it called, the RE engine or whatever it's called. I think there might be a number on it. They're talking about this RE engine is just doing some amazing stuff in the optimization. They're able to pull graphics out.
Yeah, that's what they're using.
Yeah, it's the same thing that Resident Evil 7, like they weren't sure if it was checkerboard, but it was running high resolution, running high frame rate. Like that engine is just really well suited to the games that they're making. So it's kind of interesting to find out what this. It doesn't really matter. I mean, this game is going to be super high resolution. It's holding 60 frames, which is really important for a fast.
It looks good. I mean, that's all that really matters, honestly.
It's a destructible environment that blew me away, to be completely honest. Like when the floor broke and they fell to another level, I was blown away.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a canned thing. Like he threw the monster into the building, and the monster was rummaging around trying to get at him, and it was reacting dynamically. It'll be very interesting to see where they've offloaded those physics at, especially running at 60.
And for those that were upset with the last game, Dante's back, man.
Yes, this is
Scalebound guy.
Scalebound guy is back.
He really did look like to a T. He looked just like the Scalebound guy, but they kind of sold me on this. It released at a tough time, and we could go over the list of like 9 huge AAA games that are coming out in the spring. That's one of them.
Hey, I got a question for the chat real quick. What if, because Microsoft owned the Scalebound IP, they've got all the assets and everything, they just no one's developing it last we heard. What if Ninja Theory said, "Hey, let us finish that game"? Would you be interested?
My god, dude.
That'd be fantastic.
Dude, the internet would break if that ever came out.
I mean kind of in their realm, right? Of their type
it absolutely
of game.
Is. Yes.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
That's a really, really good thought provoking question, dude. Like I'm being honest with you. Like I was disappointed about Scalebound. Because I like the whole dungeon, the whole dragons thing. And I thought it was going to be a really cool, neat kind of action game. And to see it be canceled, obviously we know why it was canceled, because it was basically a money pit. And Microsoft the game was just never going to get done. But if you drop a Ninja Theory and say, okay, here's everything that we have, run and do your thing, and don't say anything to anyone, and they just shock us 3-4 years from now, that would be incredible.
Yeah, it'd be pretty wicked. So aside from the Devil May Cry news, there running phenomenally well according to Digital Foundry as of right now, a little less than a year out. Modern Warfare 2 is now back compat as well. And one last thing, Shadows Die Twice, the From Software game, a lot of people thought was Bloodborne 2. That was originally supposed to be a Tenchu game, according to the developer.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty interesting. I like the fact that the scalability, the kind of zip aspect is a little more interesting for a From Software game. What engine are they? I don't know what engine they're using, but I think that team should really just go all out on the engine.
That's weird. I would think they could get quite a bit more sales with that Tenchu name on there.
That's what I was about to say. It's kind of interesting that they went away from that name, because I feel like that name has more power than the one they chose.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was a licensing thing, or who knows, man. All right, let's jump into one of the good topics of the night, the Spider-Man Downgrade. Okay, now this has been a thing going on Twitter for quite a while.
Yep.
And I just got to lay out some context, because there's always people that aren't on Twitter and they don't know what's going on here. Long story short, there was a scene that I praised a lot in my comparison video, talking about screen space reflections and all of the puddles on the ground, and how that's one of the more demanding effects in a game, and developers usually don't put them in games because either time or hardware resources, right? Well, the scene was seen again since the first time it was initially shown off, and a lot of those reflections, I'm not sure they're real time anymore, meaning they may have baked reflections now. But aside from that, they are dramatically reduced in this scene. And whether or not people want to say, well, they chose to remove the puddles, those things do take up hardware resources. So there's a reason they freed up some of this. In addition to this scene lacking puddles, let's call it. People just want to say puddles, but in actuality, SSR is one of the best looking effects in games in general. When you see all these reflections everywhere, it really makes a game just gives it that glimmer. So you definitely got less screen space reflections there. If you look at the top left of the photo, you've got some yellow flex tubing that's going across the wall, and you notice that the shading inside of the underneath and around the flex tubing is gone. Or dramatically reduced. That's ambient occlusion. And I know this, I've literally done a video where I showed you guys what ambient occlusion was when I did a video about Shadow Wars Xbox One X patch. I showed you on screen what ambient occlusion does for games. They've reduced that ambient occlusion level there. Now, I know people are probably already freaking out, but there's a lot of good here too, but I'm explaining the situation. These are just the facts. The pictures are out there. They've been out there. That's from the release build of the game. We've already seen the footage here on YouTube. All right, so that flex tubing AO is gone, and the fuzziness, I'm not worried about that. That could be screenshot quality. I know that the game looks amazing out in the open world especially, but this one shot, no doubt, has been downgraded, and that's what I was pointing out on Twitter. This one shot, that's why I put all those pictures under, of that one shot was downgraded, and people were denying that for some reason. I'm not really sure why. It's literally instantly noticeable. Instantaneously. There is no maybe some more grass. No, it's instantly noticeable. And the developer did say it's the sun shifted during development, when curiously the shadows of all the buildings are in the same spot in the background, right? Yep. So I think they're using a different lighting technique. That's what I think they're doing. And that was obvious by some later comparison shots where the lighting looks a little more hazy, a lot more warm, if that makes sense. Colt, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly how I describe it. The lighting looks more warm. The original 2017 stuff had a cooler look, and as far as
like
temperature and
like
graphics.
a much higher contrast, right? It's really
Higher
not that one
contrast.
blows away the other, but it's more of a preference. Like,
If-
what do you want? Really deep, kind of darker darks with where the lights are just fucking blinding you. Like, that's what I got from that comparison shot.
I'll say this. Some of that stuff, to be honest with you, has been debunked today. Red Dragon did post some pictures up on Twitter, and you can actually see the differences.
The shots he's talking about, he put up, have nothing to do with what I just said with
So,
the AO and stuff.
With the ambient inclusion, yes, it has been reduced. I'm not going to deny that has been
Let
reduced.
me ask you a second, D, because you haven't really said too much about this. You know the picture I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
You've looked at it. You know that that's clearly one looks worse than the other. Okay, there's no getting around it. Now, with the other photos you're talking about with Red Dragon, yeah, he took some other photos that no one's even talked about yet. No one's ever said that part of the game is downgraded. We're talking about one scene. So in terms of the scene I just described, I think universally we can accept it that, hey, they've reduced some stuff here. That's fine. I mean, people forget I spent 7 hours building a comparison video. I've looked at footage more than most of these people combined. The game looks phenomenal. No one ever said it didn't. But what are you saying about these photos comparing the outside? Because the outside's always looked amazing to me. I didn't see anything that was particularly noteworthy that was bad.
Based on my own analysis from looking at it, the ambient occlusion has been reduced a little bit. The puddles have been reduced in the amount of puddles, but not the quality. The puddles still look the same. It's just it's
Have you
less.
seen? Okay, so yeah, I haven't seen if they have the same quality of reflections.
Yeah, they're the same quality. It's just less.
It's not like we want the game to get down. I got the bitch pre-ordered and I can't wait to play the fucking game. I don't want it to get downgraded.
Also, too, on the lighting though, I'm gonna have to side with the developer here because they're using a different time of day for the shadows. So yeah, the shadows could be they are kind of close in the same place.
No, they're not using a different time of day. They're using a different light source.
Yeah. Sorry.
Like maybe they had like a more unidirectional light source.
Exactly.
I've done a bunch of 3D rendering, like scene rendering back in the day, and like you can use different types of light sources. And it looks like the new 2018 build is more like an omni light, there's a little more volumetric light. It's brought out a more warm and colorful version of Spider-Man game.
So your TV from cool settings to warm 3, and then add a little bit of haze depending on what you're looking at to accentuate the volumetric.
I mean,
but when you're looking at like all those puddles, and that makes a scene pop so much when you have those deep, rich screen reflections. Have that reflection of everything where they're standing, and then you see the next one where all the you don't see the drain, but all the water went down to the 42nd floor. I don't know. It kind of takes away from it. But I mean, like Dealer says, I do see how the shadows are now really, really faint around everything, and it takes a lot of depth and richness out of both. When you compare both images.
And I don't even really want to
look great.
I don't even want to judge the image so much because they did release some new footage, gameplay footage, actual gameplay footage. And from what I've seen, that gameplay footage, it looks phenomenal. And I really, if I had to say there was a downgrade, it possibly maybe a 2% downgrade. It's nothing worth mentioning, to be honest.
Like people, it's not that nobody said the game doesn't look absolutely fine. One of the better looking games of the generation, right?
Well, didn't God of War go through this too? Like this happens like on every Sony game. It happens on every Ubisoft game. And I'm just going to put my neck out on the line and say, in my opinion, I think that Spider-Man is going to be better looking all around than God of War. Like those big open city with that lighting and just the color pop. Like, I mean, there's some beautiful scenes in God of War, like stuff that you've never seen before in the fantasy world. But I mean, I just think overall Spider-Man's going to just be more pleasing to me the way that everything's going to look, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I just want to touch on the Red Dragon pics. He did different pictures from the E3 reveal and from what we saw, recently. And from what I saw on his pictures, there's actually a lot more detail in the buildings and objects being closer, his suit. I actually saw more details in the comparison. So I'm really not going to say it's downgraded, to be honest with you. I think there might be some different artistic choices. They changed the casting of the sunlight, and maybe ambient inclusion was pared back a little bit. But to go as far and say the game's really been downgraded, in my opinion, I think it's a stretch.
Yeah, I don't think the game has been entirely downgraded. I know that one scene has been downgraded. We've seen that. But as for the game, like I said, they released footage well over a month ago. I was compiling all the latest footage, all this 4K footage. I watched hours of it just for this video. Like I said, I've got so much time in the Spider-Man footage. I knew exactly where all the footage people were sending me was from. And it's like, you guys are making the mistake of thinking I'm saying it looks bad or the whole game's been downgraded. I am coming out against the people that are basically lying and saying that this one picture does not look worse than the pre-release stuff, right? So I think we all agree here that the other photo looked better than the newer one with less SSR and AO and all that. And that's just one scene, but the game looks insane. So at the end of the day, it's just truth, you know?
The game looks good, no doubt. Like, I'm not going to hate here, but I found that when I'm watching all these launch trailers that they have, anyone not Spider-Man, like a human with skin, they kind of look waxy to me.
What
They
about
got a
the
weird
humans without
sheen
skin?
on them. I'm not a fan of that. The which, sorry?
I said, what about the humans without skin? How they look?
Oh, well, you know,
Bones.
if you're not wearing a mask or you're not wearing a superhero outfit, if you're walking around just
the
normal,
NPCs aren't going to have
color-
the
No,
poly
I'm talking.
count
I'm
of
talking.
Spider-Man.
No. I'm talking about Peter and Mary Jane and stuff. Like, I just thought they looked kind of waxy and their eyes were dead.
Anime looks a little weird.
I've never been to New York myself, but I found that when Spider-Man was up swinging around up in the sky, maybe it is just the new warmth that the lighting is giving, but I found everything just looked orangey and red and dull. Like the buildings were dull and plain. But when he was down on the ground, the street level stuff looked fantastic. It was nice and detailed. He looked good. But I just thought that when you looked out up into the vista of New York City, it just looked plain.
I tell you what,
I can say
HDR is going to be fire on Spider-Man for sure, especially with the new hue of the lighting. That's one really good positive of the new lighting.
I can say one upgrade that I have seen, and it's quite evident in the pictures, especially if you look at Red Dragon's tweets, is the character models, like the in-game character models. They actually got upgraded, to be honest with you. The shadowing, the textures. If you look at one of the shots, Spider-Man kind of has like that plasticky sheen to it, and on the new build, he doesn't have that. The
And you remember,
Spider-Man looks great.
2 weeks ago, D, we literally covered this. It's in the title, Spider-Man PS4 upgraded in all caps, because we already covered all that. And a lot of people are just now learning that a lot of the in-engine real-time cutscenes actually look better than they did back in the day. And I pointed that out, like, hey, we covered this weeks ago. You guys are just finding out about this. We were talking about how good it looked weeks ago. So yeah, a lot of that's been upgraded, especially. But regarding the downgrade, the only thing I've ever referenced is the one screenshot, because that's the one thing we'd actually seen twice up to that point. So I don't know.
I think like the swinging looks insane when he does the slow-mo flipping and spinning and stuff between throwing out the next web. Like that just looks so good. I can't wait to just swing around the city for hours. I know I'm gonna, and walk around, fight crime, of course. But it looks good. I thought the bad guys looked really good as well. I just kind of thought that the lighting was really red and the buildings looked kind of plain from afar. But I mean, I've never been to New York. For all I know, that's kind of what New York looks like. I don't mean to offend anyone from there, but
no. I mean, listen, I'm here in New York, and I've worked in the city for practically my whole career, so it looks fantastic. I think really at the center of this whole shenanigans, if you will, wasn't so much that anyone was trying to shit on the game. Basically, we were shown a photo. We were shown two photos side by side. We made an opinion, and to be completely fair, most of the opinions that were made from Dealer, from Colt, from myself were not, first of all, I don't recall anyone ever saying downgraded per se. I don't think I read that in a tweet. I think it was just, I know for me, I said that the two screens look very different from one another. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't get a whole bunch of hate from it, because I think I've been pretty transparent about not only spending $150 on the collector's edition, but calling that this game is probably going to show up in my top 10 of 2018 already, and I haven't even picked up the controller. I said that about God of War in 2017, that it was going to be my game of the year in 2018, and guess what, folks? God of War is my game of the year in 2018. unless something comes out and blows it out of the water. That's the way it's going to stay. So I don't necessarily think it was so much the actual downgrade as to really the Sony Earth Defense Force came out in like warships.
Some of them, I got to give props to some of even some pretty radical Sony guys actually just said, hey, I have eyeballs. This picture looks better than this one. Clearly.
Yes, I really agree with that. Yeah.
Hey, hang on, I got to give Mr. Buster Palmer a shout out in the super chat there. He basically wants to know how much RAM the next consoles are going to have. I'm guessing 16 gigabytes.
At least
around 500 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth for a console is pretty badass. So yeah, I got to give a shout out to some of the Sony guys that kept it real. Even some of the ones I didn't expect them to, because they have eyeballs and they didn't let their hype get in their way. I said nobody likes a downgrade because in that photo there was a clear downgrade. And in the rest of the game, it looks great. I don't know what to tell you. There's no
I know what to tell you.
way to say it.
You say the game took a little bit of a downgrade, but it's still going to look amazing. And then you're done. You move on to the rest of the Xbox news.
Well, yeah, we can.
I mean, there was
at the same time, it's like I don't like throwing the whole game into. I'm talking about one picture. So. And the only reason we talked about so much because there was people out there that were clearly just damage controlling.
It was the center point of the tweet from one of the developers from Insomniac, so that's why it was such a big deal.
Yeah, and two, Forza Horizon 4 had a shitty stream, and dudes ran with Forza Horizon 4 was downgraded, which is fucking disgraceful.
Yes.
And I didn't hear any of these so-called neutrals, these PC guys, saying shit about it. So once again, they let their hype decide what they're going to do, right? And it was clear that Forza Horizon 4 hasn't been downgraded. There was another video on GameSpot at 1080p, what looked like 12 megabytes per second bitrate, looked pretty trash. But then you go watch another outlet's video and it's fucking 4K. It looks amazing. So it really just depends on where you're getting your footage from. But what were you gonna say, Boom?
No. I mean, I was just going to say I absolutely agree with that because if we were talking pre-game, literally as soon as the Forza stream was done, I saw Twitter explode with downgrade, looks like crap. And it was like, well, I got to be honest with you. What you said is right. You have to be really specific about where you're going to watch your content because a lot of them are doing 1080 crappy video and they just don't care because they're getting clicks.
Seriously, if I'm doing 4K, it's extremely high quality footage, right? And I'm just a little fuck on YouTube.
Yes.
You got IGN at 9 million subscribers or something doing 1080p fucking 12 megabytes bitrate.
Gross.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Locking everything to 30. Yeah. They do it all the time.
Unless it's Crash Bandicoot, then it doubles the frames and resolution somehow. So
they actually had a 4K stream the other day. I was like, what the hell? Did they upgrade their software? I couldn't believe it.
Like 2 years too late.
Super chat. Here's some money.
Well, I think what the issue is you can't even point something out that's obvious. Like anyone that saw both the pictures, it was very clear that that particular scene was downgraded. You can't bring anything like that up. You'll be attacked from every corner you can. But vice versa, it's fine. And then if you look at the tweet that the actual developer said, he said in the same tweet, he said, we didn't downgrade, but we did remove puddles. I'm like, well, that's kind of downgrading, isn't it?
Screen space reflection. So that's not the only thing that changed in that picture.
I have to address something out of the off topic, and you guys can help me out. This Digital Tiger guy's got a real problem here tonight. He's like, why not talk about how the Master Chief Collection's been out for 10 years and it's still broken? Well, Master Chief Collection's been out less than 5 years, I think, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, 2015 it came out.
But yeah.
2015.
2015 is when it was released.
It came out in 2014.
I've heard you guys on multiple occasions say that the game was broken. Like, when have they never said it wasn't broken?
Well, it's been out almost 4 years. They fixed the matchmaking problems like a couple years ago, didn't they? But today they just
that was the thing about the Master Chief Collection is, depending on who you were, you had problems, kind of like State of Decay, and you never really got one uniform answer from a lot of people. So
no, I heard all these people saying they weren't having problems, and I don't know, but that's just kind of weird. But today it got X enhanced HDR up to 4K resolution, 60 frames across all the content.
Man, we might as well just move that topic up, Colt. Man,
yeah. But anyway,
I mean, there's a couple of things. First of all, and again, I know we're going a little bit off topic, but you want to talk about the Master Chief. 343 could have just thrown their hands up in the air and took the L, but they didn't. Right? Mm-hmm. They went back and they 4K'd, 60'd, everything. The game, the patch went live. I think it was yesterday, as a matter of fact. It's going into Game Pass on the 1st. Look, let me just say this: if you're a Halo fan or you're new to the series, there's no better time to jump into the game, regardless of how it launched. Yeah,
No, I thought it was Addict to try to jump in.
I think that's another good thing that you see Game Pass doing. I don't think that game would be being redone if it wasn't for Game Pass. They wanted that game to look good, to play good. That way they can throw it in Game Pass and get a bunch of people on nostalgia to all subscribe at the same time.
That, and they know Halo Infinite's 2020, 2021. So keep that in mind as well. They know that, you know, people want a new Halo fix, and that's probably going to be it. But to kind of sum things up, with Spider-Man, guys, no one ever said the game didn't look absolutely phenomenal. I personally think it's one of the best looking games this generation. Obviously, the newer they get, the better they look. And it's got all the right boxes checked for phenomenal HDR on the LG OLED here. And I think that it's going to be a blast to play. I've got it already paid for, and I'm ready for it. So definitely kind of a drought here lately for everybody. I think we can all agree. Catch up on your backlog. Colt, what's going on with the pre-orders, though, for Spider-Man? What happened with that?
I guess today it just went up on pre-order on Amazon, which is weird because the game comes out in like, what, 9 days or 8 days?
So the deal was with that is that they were running this special with Amazon where you would save some money, like $12 or something, if you pre-ordered or bought games from Amazon right now. And the day after that deal went off, the Spider-Man popped up on the store. So they definitely were holding out. They didn't want you to buy that thing any cheaper. I don't blame them. You know, people are going to buy that game full price, no problem.
And that wasn't the only game. I was trying to pre-order a bunch of games, and like they were all Cyberpunk was unavailable. Like all these games were freaking unavailable.
They all waited until that Prime deal was over.
You know, there
was an article about how a bunch of first-party PlayStation games were not available for pre-order through Amazon, but you could get them other places, and so they were trying to figure that out. And then today, the truth came out when the day that the Prime deal expires, Spider-Man just jumps up on there. But it also explains why those numbers were low when people were bragging about what was the hottest thing on Amazon. You know, when Xbox games were surpassing PlayStation games, it explains why they were being withheld from the Prime discount.
Thankfully, I took advantage of the E3 special, so I got that game for like half price. I got Rise of the Tomb Raider for half price, so I'm good.
Jeez.
Yeah. So like I said, we all are looking forward to Spider-Man pretty much across the board for the most part. We talked about how Spider-Man got upgraded a few weeks ago, before any of this even happened. We're actually pretty excited for the game, and I think anybody who's going to be able to play it is probably excited as well. Phil Spencer, man, confirms Xbox All Access on Twitter. This is absolutely huge announcement once more. Did a video on this, Gamescom leak, Xbox All Access. What could it be? Some kind of service that combines other services? Well, no, it turns out to be something a little crazier than that. This gives you your choice between an Xbox One S and Xbox One X. You also get 2 years of Game Pass and Xbox Live, all for either $21.99 a month or $34.99 a month. No money down. So you walk into a Microsoft store, you let them peek at your credit. If it's decent, they will let you take home an Xbox One X for no money, zero money. The next month you'll pay them $34 a month for 2 years, and it's yours. But you also get, for that $34 a month, 2 years of Xbox Live and 2 years of Xbox Game Pass, which includes every exclusive and all that, which is an absolutely phenomenal deal. And financing is going through Dell. So that's financing at 0% APR for 2 years, zero interest, no interest at all. Awesome. They're not making a dime of interest off of Xbox All Access. And I think that's absolutely awesome. It's available in Microsoft stores today. And I hear rumors that they're trying to expand it, but I'm not so sure.
How do you pay? How do you pay your monthly payment? Do they send you a bill, or
if it's through Dell, then you'll log into their site, I do believe, and you'll just pay your Dell balance.
Okay, and I know there's a lot of concerns. Like, we were hoping this was just a thing where you'd go home and sign up for Game Pass and Xbox Live, and then it just debit out of your account like Xbox Live does each year or month or however you set it up. But there is no compounding interest like most same as cash deals, like at the at the furniture store and stuff like that. If you get to your 25th month and you haven't paid all of your payments, they start charging interest that month. They don't go back to the day you started and throw all the interest that you would have accrued. So there's no penalty. They just make you start paying, and you get like a 19 to 30% interest based on your credit. Yeah, which still isn't great. There's a lot of things that aren't great about this, but the other half is really good.
You know what is great? I got to give a shout out to almost 600 people watching us live, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get up to 300 for the end of the show. Maybe share this bitch on Twitter. We appreciate it. I think Xbox Game Pass is not only a phenomenal deal, because you got to remember, if you're interested in buying things on credit, and don't pretend like most people don't, then you're probably okay with paying $34 a month for so much. I mean, in Game Pass alone, the exclusives this year is $180 by themselves. You get those all in this, plus the 150 other games like Fallout, Division, and all this other awesome stuff in Game Pass. Like, let's say you play 10. They say there's like 8 games that people are playing on average in Game Pass right now. Each Game Pass member on average, I think they're messing around with 8 titles. Let's really lowball it to where, like I said before, they're dragging on the ground. Each one of those games is worth, let's say they're worth $10 even, which is not even close to true if you're playing anything decent. You are still minimal adding $100 savings to that somehow through the value you're getting with Game Pass. I mean, you're saving potentially, depending on how many games you play, hundreds a year.
And you're not spending $60 on Forza Horizon 4. You're not spending $60 on Gears 5 when it comes out, because you're paying that $120 a year for Game Pass. So it's even, I don't know, it's kind of cool.
And not only that, like most places that do like rent to own, by the time you tally everything up at the end, you've paid more for the product. You're actually paying less for the products. This is a fantastic deal. People say, oh, it's a fire sale. Microsoft, they're going out of business. They're liquidating their Xboxes. This is so pro-consumer. And anyone that's against this, like, honestly, at the end of the day, you're paying cheaper than if you were to pay it up front.
What if you can't make your payments?
$20, so you're saving $20 if you rather than buying it all up front. But like anything that you buy, and this applies across the board, you're getting it for the price that it is that day, right? So let's say Xbox All Access is out for another year from now. It's still out, even though they say limited time, right? Let's say it's out for another year and the X is only $450 or even $400 somehow. I'm sure the payments would change. The price would change. You would pay $400 for the X. They're going to scale that pricing with the retail price of the X, just like if you went and bought an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro with a credit card, which I know for a fact a lot of people have done. You paid that price that day. It doesn't matter what price it will be 2 years from then.
But what if somebody can't make their payment? What if they're late on their payment? What happens? Like, that's like this big concern. It's like, what if someone doesn't? I'm worry about that happens all the time. People don't pay their car payment. People don't pay their rent. People don't pay for their food, and they go back and wash dishes. That doesn't even factor into this. This is
if you're not paying if you're not paying for your payments, you probably don't have the credit to get this.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that the same people that are going at this, like, they all claim they have like $1,500 to $2,000 PCs. They don't need an Xbox. They got the PCs for it. I guarantee you, most of them got a credit card if they do have these kind of PCs that they have that on. It's just like, I really and honestly, truly feel like if Sony did this, it would not be this kind of reaction. Like,
oh no, it'd be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
And I don't even really say stuff like that too often, but I really and truly feel like
we know who's hating on this. The most radical fucks out there.
Dealer, I gotta say, being a content creator like everybody that's on the panel, you get an opportunity to speak with the community, which of course is at the forefront of why I do my channel. Like, I really enjoy interacting with the people. It's something that it really, for the bottom line, is what drives me to do better. And in turn, you get to talk about people. Like, I'm very open about being a multi-console supporter. I support all 3 of them, and I proudly do it. Xbox is my system of choice. That's true, but there are a lot of gamers that I've come across that are Sony fans now, but were Xbox 360 fans back in the days, and they moved over for power. So when you ask them, well, did you ever consider jumping on back to the Xbox? A lot of them are, parents or students that just can't afford to support 2 consoles. It's an expensive hobby, right? This opens the door for all of those folks who may not have $500 and then another 60 and 60 or another 60 and 120 for Game Pass to pay up front to say, okay, I want the X. I want games with gold. I want Game Pass. It's going to cost me $35 a month for 24 months. And at the end of that Xbox One is theirs. This could not be a better deal for those folks.
I think it's funny because the same people that are saying, oh, they're preying on little kids. The same people saying that. So you mean to tell me that I can die for not liking Uncharted 4, but Danny at fucking high school that just got out, you care about his credit. Gotcha.
Another thing people say is like, well, why would people do this? They can get an Xbox One X, wait for it to go on sale, and you can get Game Pass for $2 for 2 months, and you can get deals online for, yes, you can get all these deals. You can get them cheaper. Go do that. Go and wait until all those deals line up. Go wait till you can find an Xbox One X for $450 on sale.
Almost like it's an option, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting. They're still allowing traditional sales.
And we've got to point some out too, Colt, before I forget. You can already rent consoles to own. You can already go to Aaron's or Rent-A-Center, and you can already lease consoles.
You can get a
PS4. Don't bring that up. Don't sound logical.
Well,
you can get a PS4 Pro for
you can already lease consoles. Like they already let you lease a $400 PS4 Pro with no Game Pass, no games, no PS Plus for more than the
40
Xbox
a month.
$40
a month, and it has no
$400 Pro and a $400 Pro alone. Not 150 games plus all the new exclusives plus 2 years of that and Xbox Live. Just the Pro for $400 is $40 a month, and they have interest. So this destroys that deal in every single way. The only flaw, the fatal flaw, and ultimately what's probably going to do it in if it's done in, is the fact that it's only at Microsoft stores right now. I mean. It doesn't matter if nobody can get to it, if nobody can do it and partake in it. It doesn't matter what a great deal it is.
Now it's not in Canada yet.
Well, no, it's not.
Okay, because there was talks about North America. I just want to say this real quick. There was talk about North America being included with the states. There are less than 100 Microsoft stores. There are less than 100 Microsoft stores in the states. There's 4 where I live because Microsoft's right around the corner because I work there and I get coffee from Mikey Bar each afternoon.
Yeah.
Wow. That's dealer's right. It's fatal flaw. It's a really small, unleashing here.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, we're going to have another console generation launching in just a few years. It's going to cost about $500. Not everybody is just going to peel that $500 off of one paycheck right before it comes out and call it a day and be fine with it. Most people start putting away money right now, every month, $30-$40 a month. They just put it away. So when the console's out, they can buy it. They don't have that console now. Whereas with this program, if you want an X and you only want to spend $35 a month, you can have the X today. You don't have to save up over time until you have a pile of money that you can go buy one. You get it right now, and that's fantastic. You're not paying more for it in the long run due to the no interest. That's good. There's just nothing really to say bad about it other than it's not available everywhere for everybody.
And the funny part, you go.
I want Shady to say one more thing. Shady, explain to people who this deal is really for, because it's not for us. A lot of us here already have an Xbox. There's 40 million plus, consoles out there. So maybe some want to upgrade, but who's this deal really for?
It's really for anybody that just wants to spend $35 a month for gaming, as opposed to peel off basically $500, $600, $700 for an Xbox and all of its services for a year all at once. Anyone who's interested. I mean,
well, there's people out there that say that why are you comparing leasing a console to something like a necessity? And that's nuts to me because half of these people have Best Buy cards. It's the same as running to Best Buy and throwing an Xbox One X on your Best Buy card.
If you're paying interest on it.
Except for you are paying interest. It's worse to do that. So that's what I'm saying. If you're using any kind of credit card to buy anything, you're paying interest. It's worse to do that. I mean, renting or leasing a console anywhere else, which is a massive third-party business. Rent-A-Center and Aaron's, those guys have made billions over the course of their business. I mean, there's a large market there for people that want to pay a small fee to do this. Cell phones, you use subsidized pricing and you pay that phone off throughout that 2-year contract as well. There's a lot of models like this. Nothing new when it comes to the model. So I don't think it should be that controversial. I think that the X is appealing enough on its performance alone, whether or not people want to admit it. People want to play some of the best games at their best on console. and that's just that's nothing new. We should all know that. So
I feel like when it comes down to it, it's like, look, like I get, people say, necessities, needs, whatever the fuck, like get out of other people's pockets. If they want to do this, then let them. Like, I just don't get like the logic behind that. Let's go on Twitter, Facebook. Let's bitch about what other people buy. It's just
you look
like
down, if someone fucking hanging out of your pocket, hey, what you got in there? I think it's fucking.
It's like you have to take pepper spray everywhere you go. Get out of my pocket.
Yeah,
like, I just.
They're so concerned, Addict.
This is made for those people going around holiday. It's like, look, like they see that advertisement. They don't even have a console, maybe a PlayStation. Maybe they have the old PlayStation 4 at the beginning of the generation. And I can just pay $35 a month. They out of my face, and I can play whatever I want. And the funny thing is, I would understand even if you were paying a little bit more. But if you like Game Pass, which is $100, it's been very vocal that is a really good deal for what it offers. You get Xbox Live, so you don't have to worry about anything else when it comes to online activity, and you get an X or an S, and you pay less than what you were paying. I don't understand how that is a problem. I really don't.
Yeah, you pay less than if you went in there and bought it with a credit card. Like you no matter what, you pay what you pay on that day at that price. You can't build a fucking time machine and come back when it's $300. Like, you made the decision to buy it that day. It was that price that day, just like a game. You pay what you pay. So at the end of the day, I think it's pro-consumer. I don't know why people are going out of their own way, tripping over their own feet, sounding like morons. We just destroyed almost every single criticism I can remember.
You know what's funny, though? You're forgetting, man. You get that 2017 car, man. The moment they make 18, you go back. Well, I bought it last year. I don't understand. Why can't I just upgrade and take that one off the lot? What's going on?
But honestly, when PS5 and the Scarlett comes out, I think something like this could be, a lot of people be open to saying, hey, I'm going to go. I'm just going to walk into the store and walk out with this brand new $500 box and not pay on it until next month. And I'm not even going to pay interest on it. People, plus the games, plus Xbox Live. I think that's very compelling to a lot of people. Very
dealer. Who's to say that this isn't a soft launch? That they're just launching it at Microsoft stores. They didn't come out and say that it's a definite. That's where it's going to be permanently. They could always make the decision that they
they did say limited time offer on the
they did say limited time offer, but you know what, this is what they're doing now with Game Pass and getting everything into one payment service and offering this deal. This is all taking their focus to the next generation on what they're going to do moving forward. And I think it's really exciting. And you said it. Could you just imagine Scarlett comes out and you don't need $700 for games? Because I mean, think about it. All their first party launch games are going to be in Game Pass day and date. So that's
everything.
It's such a no-brainer.
I don't know about the panel here, but I'm already paying about $14 or $15 a month for Game Pass plus Xbox Live with the deal. I bought my Xbox Live code for $46 on G2A.
Nice.
Like 11 months ago. It's up for renewal. I'm up for what do they call it on Shawshank? I'm up for when you go in for review. What is that? I forget what they call it.
So you're paying like half of what you're paying, a little under half of what you could be paying for all that.
Yeah, I'm paying $15 a month, and I had to buy my Xbox outright. So it's.
And that's for the top end console. Let's not forget the $21.99 X1S. Whether or not you want, and people say, but that looks like trash, and then they'll talk about how performance doesn't matter. So, there's a lot of people out there that might want the S 4K Blu-ray player. It's a good little package, very good value for that little package at around $280, I think it is, something like that. So
don't let Dylan lie to you. He makes fun of me for playing on an S.
No, it didn't make fun of you. I was surprised that you had an S. I thought you had an X the whole time.
I was playing Wolfenstein. He was like, whoa, he's sitting, do you have it on 4K? Do you have it on the high textures? Like, I'm playing on an S. He's like, you're playing on an S?
Yeah, I didn't know. But we got to move on. This topic's taking too long. Bottom line, guys, phenomenal feature. If you're interested, you got a Microsoft store nearby. Go in. You've been paying your bills and shit. You should be good to go. And you walk out of there with a $5 system, 2 years of Game Pass and Xbox Live for $34.99 a month. If that's your bag, go for it. If someone's in your pockets worrying about why the fuck you're buying what you're buying, ask them what's wrong with them. I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay. Holy shit! What did you think about that, Colt?
Gosh, it looks cool. I did not think they were. I didn't think they were going to give us 45 minutes of gameplay. They put up like the little coding page for like 3 hours.
It was a lot, man.
Well, I tuned in. The Finest, he's on Twitter. He gives some of us like up to the minute news. He's like, hey, they got this. Yeah, he's like, hey, Colt, they got this gameplay up, and I go and it's Max Scoville and some other guy like, yeah, it looked really good. Like, I just can't wait to get my hands on you. I mean, hands on it. And I was like, oh crap, where's the actual gameplay? So I had to wait till the stream was done, and wow, it's really cool.
It looked really, really good, man. This is a mature game, as we saw by some hardcore Ice Cube action. It looks really good. This game is not coming out until around 2020, and that's my best guess. And I think that a lot of those instances in the game were probably not even functional. They just came up over the screen and kind of worked automatically because they don't have a lot of that nailed down yet. So there's a reason they reiterated a lot that this is definitely work in progress. There was a hidden message in that footage that was from CD Projekt Red that said our biggest fear was and still is that you'll expect the game to be like this one-to-one when it comes out. We're still doing a lot of play testing and new features, and this game is a ways out, guys. 2 years, a year and a half minimum, and that's if they let their whole studio huff paint.
So what do you think they mean by the game's playable front to back?
Yeah.
That just means that they can play test it.
I don't think it's 2020. I think it's
next year.
I think it's next year. They're showing way too much footage for it to be 2 years away, in my opinion.
I think it could be 2019, but I'm with Dealer. I think it should be 2020.
No,
I don't think it could be 2019. I think it's 2020, and I think that's why they offered so many disclaimers. We heard about this game. It was announced in 2013. I don't think the fact that the footage was, well, they showed us one mission. That was just one mission. It was 48 minutes of one mission. I don't think that means anything in regards to how close it is. I think it's playable front to back, but I also think that CD Projekt Red do not rush things. They polish things. Mm-hmm. They're tuning this game, and a lot of people ask me this on Twitter. When is this coming out? What is it for? This is a cross-generation game. We know it's targeting current platforms. Unless they cancel that plan, which they might have to do if they're trying to maintain that level of detail in the city, all the people walking around, then you can expect to see it on your Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. My guess, 2020. Do you think it's 2019? Either one's fine with me. I want them to take the time and do what they do. But it should also be patched for the Scarlett and PS5 as well. 60 frames. I'm sure you'll see it on the next gen versions, but no way that's happening with if they can even do it on this one.
Well, they only showed us 1080p 30.
Yeah, let's ask D about that. They run this on an i7 8700K with a GTX 1080 Ti, and they were on 1080p, and they had to hold it at 30.
That's interesting. The Cyberpunk channel itself has all that footage up in 4K.
Well,
yeah, they rendered it 4K, so you get the best quality possible. But the native footage is 1080p.
So DY.
Well, I'm hearing some rumors that this game is going to be having ray tracing, so that could explain the whole 1080p 30 frames per second. From my understanding, the ray tracing on these RTX cards, at least the 2080 Ti's. You're pretty much going to be looking at 1080p 30, 1080p 60 with ray tracing enabled. So I don't know. It's hard to say at this point. But
they were running on a 1080 Ti, so they weren't pushing ray tracing into the
no.
And I would rather the lighting take a hit for performance and get 60. But
beyond that,
why did they do this?
Footage, boys. The footage
they're far from optimization, though. I want to point that out. It's not like the game is going to run at 1080p 30 on a 1080 Ti when it comes out. The optimization takes place in the last 5 months of a game's life cycle, development cycle. So that game, you're going to be running that game well above 1080p 30, no problem. It's just that it's so far out that the drivers aren't even there for the damn game yet. They're just brute forcing the fucking thing. So it looks really, really good, man. It's massive. Awesome. It's definitely mature. It doesn't give a fuck. And it's looking to be that next big thing since Witcher 3. I have to urge those who have not tried Witcher 3 yet, go get mind fucked and just give that game a chance. It's so good, and it's the
so
same
big.
way.
It's overwhelmingly
mature,
big,
man. It's just I don't know. It just is what it is. Any final words on the gameplay though from anyone else?
Yes, my God, I was absolutely floored the entire time. I had to constantly pick up my jaw from the ground and had a side thing to get my heart going again from just it stopping. It was over the top, man. When he first gun butted that dude and put him in the water and blew his brains out, the way that the blood effect came out in the water, I was sold instantly. The look of this game was very reminiscent of like Judge Dredd for me, mixed with Altered Carbon from Netflix. They nailed the cyberpunk aspect of this thing. When they first walked outside and that crowd and everyone wearing individual styled clothes, not just generic blue t-shirt with jeans and then red t-shirt with jeans, like it was in your face impressive on all fronts for me. When they chased the guy into the door with it locked and all of a sudden all the bullets started tearing through the wall with the wicked lighting in slow-mo. Like this game, my God, he drags out that naked chick from the fucking ice water. most realistic flopping titty in video games right there.
This is a family show.
Oh, well, the med guys came up to get the chick because, you know, the med dudes, they were all hardcore. Get the fuck back. We're taking this chick. Like, the game is just no holds barred. They dropped a couple of C-bombs in the trailer. I cannot wait for this game. I cannot wait. It looks so
well, you're going to have to. But I agree with you on the detail. This game does a lot of, we've seen a lot of this before. Let's just face it, right? It borrows from a lot of games, just like a lot of games borrow from Witcher. It combines these elements and hopefully makes them better. But what it's doing that is different and what really makes it next gen or gives it that next gen take is the level of detail in an open world like this. When she walked outside and saw 150 people that are reacting dynamically, they're bumping into each other. They're waiting for cars to cross. They're waiting for the cars to stop going so they can cross the road. They're talking. They're all wearing different clothes, and everything's laced with physics. Like everyone's clothes are moving realistically, and it's all super dense. And there's trash on the ground, and it's the detail.
When they get into that car and the inside view, it just screams like 80s retro version of the future. All the switches everywhere and stuff. And then all of a sudden that gunfight breaks out on the street and she lights up the van. Like the dynamic stuff. Everything they showed was basically like side mission choice content. You didn't have to do any of it besides maybe haul out the naked lady from the tub there. That might have been the only thing that seemed... That's the mission. Everything else was you chose to contact these people. You chose to show up. You chose to interact with them the way that you did. It was absolutely insane. My mind was blown for this game.
That gold arm looked fucking pretty badass too.
It looked good. And I'm going to say Prophet Shady's coming out again. This game does come out in 2019.
Well, Deal, I just want to add something to this because, you were talking about the detail. And I think what we have to just step back and take a look at is every piece of the frame, there was life. It didn't matter whether there was 150 people on the screen with different clothes or just you walking through a particular part of a room. Everything, I actually watched the video twice. The first time, I think it was just so overwhelming that my senses just could not compute, so to speak. So I watched it a second time, and I slowed things down on certain instances. And I think for me, as a graphics horror kind of a player, what really blew me away is no matter where you looked on the screen, top left, bottom right, the middle, wherever, there was life to the screen. And I think in just 46 minutes, you got to remember, this is going to have 4 other big cities to, explore. It's a total of 5 locations. So you can only imagine how big this game is going to be. I am going to say this. This game is going to do one of 2 things. Either you're going to get divorced because you can't stop playing it, or you're going to lose your job because people are going to put 100, 150, 200 hours into this game easily.
That's right. I just want to be a tourist and walk around and look at stuff. Like I know I'm never going to beat this game.
Witcher 3 was 150, 200 hours easy. I think I got like 8 days in that game across all platforms or something. And just by comparison, I have like almost 1,300 out of the 1,500 gamer score in Assassin's Creed Origins, and I've got 5 days and something in that.
Holy moly!
So like how about that Ripper Doc scene, boys, when she was getting the gun imprint put onto her hand, all 3D printed, and
like a lot of modifications that literally change your body and stuff. It's so crazy. A lot of people here have seen it, I'm sure. If you haven't seen it, just type in Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay. It'll pop up and
go to the Cyberpunk channel and watch it. Like GameSpot and IGN uploaded it at HD and stuff like that.
It looks terrible.
Yeah. You need to get it from Cyberpunk's channel.
Yes, the official site has it at 4K, which looks just phenomenal.
That Ripper Doc scene was like, that pulled me in more than any piece of that 48-minute gameplay. When she sat in that chair and the sound, I had my earbuds on, and he was hooking that thing up to her arm and her hand, and like all of a sudden I just got immersed. Like I was there getting an augmentation. I got so nervous for her. It's just really cool. Remind me of Minority Report. What's that?
When her perspective changed to inside the robot eye that was being installed into her head.
Yeah.
Like,
It reminded me of in Minority Report when Tom Cruise has to get those changes from that gross doctor. It's just like it just really pulled me in.
Hey,
and Shady freaking sells this game to all the naysayers.
In the chat says, if one picture of Cyberpunk looks worse when it comes out than this, you better call it out like you did Spider-Man.
Oh God.
Well, buddy, all you got to do is tag me, and if it's running on PC and it doesn't look close or almost identical, I'll be very surprised. That's the advantage Cyberpunk has, is that's running on a PC with some of the best hardware available, whereas Spider-Man was supposedly on PS4 hardware during its unveil. So it's the odds of it looking too much different aren't all that good, aside from resolution, perhaps, but. At the end of the day, sure, yeah, tag me when it comes out, and I'll be sure and do that. We got to move on because we're already, Jesus Christ, the show's going on. The Master Chief Collection update is out. So if you have Master Chief Collection, you can now play all 5 games. Yes, 5, Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, as well as ODSTD. I like ODSTD. All of them are patched. All of them not native 4K. From what I know, I think they scale as high as 4K, whatever. As long as you keep the frames up, that's what matters to me. HDR is a thing on these games now, so that's what I do want to stress. If you have an HDR display, be sure and push start in the main menu, go to video, and set up your HDR brightness, or you're not taking advantage of the maximum peak brightness of your display. My display wasn't even close to configure correctly in its default setting, which a lot of games kind of try to get close. It was definitely far off on the OLED here, so definitely set up your own HDR when you boot that up. But the HDR is legit. It looks pretty decent. I think it looks about like Far Cry's HDR from what I played, Far Cry 5. Ubisoft doesn't have the best HDR in my opinion, but it's good. It's definitely would look worse without it. So that's great, especially in an old-ass game that wasn't really made with HDR in mind. Keep in mind the Master Chief Collection was made contracted out to a bunch of teams, and that's one of the reasons it had such a big problem at launch. They've kind of gotten all the pieces back and redid everything themselves. Everything looks better. HDR is there. I only got to test Halo 1, and that looks like it did, but just at a higher resolution with HDR. I'm assuming Halo 4 probably looked pretty wicked with HDR. And all
it's
these
crazy how much the update changed the appearance of that game.
Halo 4 was almost looking like a launch Xbox One game.
Halo 3 looked like a different game entirely.
Yeah, did anybody, Boom, did you get a chance to try this update out?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. I'm playing through, as a matter of fact, Halo 3 right now, and I have to say, like, I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures. I know that there's been, Twitter has been loaded with them, and some of the screenshots people are taking, it is incredible what this game looks like. 343 could have easily, like we said pre-game, just threw their hands up and walked away from it, but they really went to town. And like I said, I've beaten them all, but I've already called out the community that I want to run through this 1 through 4 all over again on the hardest difficulty, because I think, first of all, playing through this with the updated visuals is going to be something that's going to be a real treat. And secondly, to hang out with the community and just play Halo. That's real for me anyway. That's just where it's at. It's so much fun when you have so many people playing. Like I said, I was blown away, and I will be taking and posting pictures on Twitter because I think the game just looks phenomenal.
It's nice to have them all in one place and for them to be looking at least as good as they're ever going to look, for sure. And like we said earlier, Halo Reach is being looked into as an addition to the Master Chief Collection as well. But yeah, update's out now. It's in Game Pass. I think September 1st is what they said. But
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, so September 1st will be in Game Pass. Microsoft doubles down on the fact that they will not be doing any crazy creative restrictions to their studios. Basically saying they will not kind of point their studios into any kind of profile of game. Like Ninja Theory said. They said, we can do whatever we want. They not only said we have all this freedom, they give us all these resources and technology teams as well, if we even want them. They don't even have to use them. Of course, they will. But the fact is they're doubling down on that, reassuring everyone that we're just letting our teams make what they want to make, unless they voluntarily signed up to something that is a Gears team or a Halo team or a Forza team. That's all voluntarily. If you don't want to work on those, you leave. If you want to work on those, you go there. So people act like they forced them to make Forza. It's like they can go wherever they want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what's
speaking of Forza, there's absolutely no loot boxes in Horizon 4. That's been confirmed recently.
Yes, thankfully.
So, you know, people can run with that idea all they want, but that information is out there. There's no loot boxes, no loot crates, no, I don't know what else you want to call them.
No bad shit, no microtransactions. The expansions are included in the Ultimate Edition now. Shout out to Robert in the super chat. Thanks, bud. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. September 27th, I think, if you got the early access. Is that right?
26 or 28, I don't know.
Somewhere around there. So late September. So you got Spider-Man, then you got Tomb Raider, then you got Forza this month, or next month, rather. And I can't wait, man. This is where things start to pick up.
What about
the best thing?
Xbox Game Pass, do we get early access to Forza?
No, that's an Ultimate Edition thing.
Oh, okay.
It's just part of, you know, hey, you bought all the DLC and stuff. You might as well just get 4 days early access.
I think the best part about, you know, these studios only making, you know, maybe 1 or 2 types of games and that's all, is now since they have so many, if, you know, you get burnt out on working Halo, you know, there's a good chance they'll just swap to another studio like Ninja Theory instead of going to, you know, Sony or Nintendo or Ubisoft. There's a lot more options for devs that work for Microsoft now, and not just, oh, if I don't want to work Halo, I guess I can go work on Gears, maybe Forza.
Yeah. You don't go to a Forza team or a Gears team or whatever if you definitely don't want to work on that kind of stuff. Hey, Aaron Greenberg is kind of taking a dump on some people here.
Hold on, dealer. Somebody addressed you in the chat. They said
the Mayan Clown.
Mayan Clown said they also said they weren't making any bigger projects. Basically, they just brought them in to make the same style and level of games they normally make. Convenient you left that out, dealer.
The initiative says hi.
Yes.
That's actually just a flat out lie that you've taken out of context. Ninja Theory said it themselves that they can imagine what we can make now with the team, basically a team that's several times larger and with all of that technology support. So convenient that you didn't remember that. So
it's only a 5-minute video if you want to go watch it. I don't want to waste too much of your time, Mayan, but it's only a 5-minute video of Ninja Theory.
Google. I mean, just do what most people should do before they try fucking us. Just Google something real quick. It's not hard. Maybe someone in the chat can link him that Ninja Theory video where they're sitting there telling you, imagine what we can make now with the backing of Microsoft. Fucking Hellblade took them $10 million to make. Do you think they're not going to spend $11 million on the next game with all this?
You know, dealer, what people seem to forget, and this is what really pisses me off about some of these ridiculous extremists. Ninja Theory was on the brink of going out of business. Okay, you never hear that in the conversation. They were hanging on by a string. Do you understand? I don't think people really get that Microsoft could have white knighted them and basically saved the company so the guy could pay his employees and maybe they could pay their mortgages and feed their families. I don't know.
And what's funny is, you know, I wouldn't say they were on the brink of going out. They were definitely
They said they were on the brink.
They were definitely on one bad game from going out of business.
Yeah, they said Hellblade saved them for a while.
They did, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, what I want to, especially if you know what kind of situation they was in, they have over 100 people in their studio, and they only had 20 working on Hellblade because they had to, you know, departmentalize their company to make they had to make multiple different games just to keep the doors open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some people confuse hey, we're looking for some medium-sized studios to make some games as, hey, you're not allowed to I mean, they've already confirmed they're more than doubling their talent there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's all very simple stuff.
It's just ridiculous. Over the past year, they've basically 5 times increased their games effort, you know, from what they were doing before. So, I mean, we'll just, like everyone else says, you have to wait and see. But what were you saying about Aaron Greenberg? He was smacking the crap out of somebody.
Do you have that quote from Aaron Greenberg?
Yeah, I do.
It's a great quote. Great quote.
Aaron Greenberg walked up to Major Nelson, ripped one of the white gloves off of him, and started slapping people with it. No.
Hey, while we're getting ready here, while he gets that ready, I got to say thanks to everyone watching live, guys. Hit that like button. Maybe share this thing somewhere. We appreciate it. Aaron Greenberg kind of dropping some truth that Ubisoft already talked about earlier in the generation. What's going on with Aaron?
He said, I noticed the same and identical thing on my friends list, and the data we have available suggests exactly that. Hardcore players, those who prefer the best gaming experience, have always been on the Xbox side, from the first Xbox to the 360 and now with the Xbox One X. Looking at the numbers and results of the competition, we have a smaller installed base, but the attach rate and sales data for many games are much higher on Xbox. This is due to the fact that our user base is made up of more hardcore gamers. We return to the previous point. It's our relationship with the community that puts us in this position. Things definitely changed. Yeah.
Now let's compare that to what Ubisoft said. Ubisoft said that gamers on Xbox spend 25% more money per customer than on other consoles. Not overall, per customer. Let's say you got 10 customers. Guys on Xbox are spending more per customer than the same 10 on PlayStation. And this is what I think Aaron Greenberg means by higher attach rates, meaning per user, that user is on the console more. Per user, that user is buying more games. Per user, that user is playing more games, especially now with Game Pass. Do you think maybe that's the way he meant that?
Yeah. I've heard stuff similar to this with Xbox, since that they've come out, that they tend to skew higher with their user base than the competition, being PlayStation and Nintendo, tend to have the younger audience. They're more casual, which is why they have a bigger user base. There's more people out there, which means they have the casuals, the people that are only buying maybe a game or two a year, whereas Xbox is tended to skew to the more hardcore that buy a lot of games and spend a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it's variable. I think there's a lot of hardcore on both, but I mean, it's easy to know what you're saying just by looking at something like the Wii, right? It crushed everything last generation. People like that sales are so meaningful, but the Wii crushing everything last gen didn't affect my enjoyment of the PS3 or the 360 last gen. So
no,
I don't think it's a huge deal either way. But Greenberg, D, what do you think he's kind of getting at here?
Well, we kind of know this anyways. We are more of a hardcore fan base. We're more mature, first of all, so we spend more money on our games because we actually have jobs. Most of us are grown. I'm not taking a
no. He's actually serious. Yeah.
Oh, you're not taking a shot right now?
No, he's not.
I'm not taking a complete shot at the Sony fan base.
It's a demographic
because I'm sure there's mature gamers over there as well, but the majority of them are younger guys. 12, 14, 15-year-olds that their parents buy them their games or bought them their systems, where the Xbox guys are more established. I think that is an actual fact, and the way that we support our games kind of leads to that point.
Well said, D. That's what I was getting at. Was just we tend to have a more mature age-wise audience on Xbox. I believe a lot of this is skewed in the past.
Another reason why these numbers don't meet up with the PlayStation is there's 80 million consoles. And you got to kind of take a little personal guess at how many of those 80 million, like what percentage or what fraction of that 80 million are the people who just followed suit and went and bought a PS4 because they knew everybody had one. And maybe there's so many people that bought a gaming system and for some reason in their life, they just don't play much anymore, or they just buy Madden or FIFA. I mean, there could be a lot of people that bought a PlayStation because you can play Fortnite for free. You don't have to pay for an online access. There's just all kinds of things along with what D said. The demographic is very different. We're all gamers. We're all console gamers. But that demographic is different on the Xbox. And that's what Aaron Greenberg says. Their numbers show it, that more hardcore buying bigger games all the time. We see that with exclusives. What is God of War at, like 10 million sold?
Yep.
And out of 80 million consoles?
10 million. A lot. I mean, we're a large part of that 80 million, right? Like, that's another thing between the two communities, as I notice, especially on Twitter, is a lot of the PlayStation preferenced guys don't even own an Xbox, whereas guys like us, we want to play all of the best games, and you'd have to be an absolute moron to pretend like there aren't a lot of games worth really playing on Xbox. So we want all of the systems, even a PC, to have all of the perspective. And really, we understand why people like PlayStation. We might prefer something else. We don't attack people that don't. That's a lot of the difference, but we have it as well. So
there's a guy, Ryan Daly. There's a guy, Ryan Daly, in the chat who's going off and on about how we're worshiping Xbox plastic over here. And I mean, I'm trying to explain to him, a lot of us here have gaming PCs we play on. We have PS4, we have an Xbox. Some of us have a Nintendo. Some of us have so many ding dang consoles, we don't even know what to play when we sit down. I think he's kind of on the wrong podcast. He has the wrong. Somebody's been telling him the wrong information, I guess.
Yeah, Ryan Daly. Try not to sound that dumb, Daly. Okay, that's just not. That's just really stupid. We have said nothing worshiping Xbox plastic. We talked about how fucking amazing Spider-Man looks and how good God of War was. Just, oh my God. All right, I want to move on to the next thing here. Boom, do you have anything to say on this particular topic? Though,
no, I mean, I think everyone has covered it. I mean, look, the bottom line is, and I just want to kind of address that dude in the chat. First of all, you know, if this is usually an Xbox centric show, but on the same note, I've listened just like you as a fan, and when there's something good to talk about Sony, no one shies away from that. So I'm not sure exactly what he's listening to, but all I know is that I personally said I'm spending $150 on the Spider-Man Collector's Edition. So I guess maybe I just don't worship one piece of plastic. I kind of do all three. Just throwing it out there.
He said he doesn't have a console. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
He doesn't.
It doesn't even matter. You know what? You just pay. You put him on the pay no mind list, and we just keep it moving.
Yeah.
You don't have a console? That's
then why are you even here? That's the question.
Well, I mean, I'm asking, why are you restricting yourself? Like, how come you're not getting any big fucking games really on PC? Honestly, aside from, unless you got a good rig, you know, you can run a lot of the, like Forza Horizon 4 and stuff. But if you didn't play God of War and stuff, like
Ryan Daly, you don't just play games, man. You limited yourself to one platform, which isn't the end all be all. PC is the most powerful platform, has some of those flexibility, but you're missing, like Dealer said, you missed out on God of War this year. You missed out on
Detroit Become Human. It's just so many of them.
Out on
but
Uncharted 4, Halo 5, Red Dead Redemption, Sunset Overdrive, a bunch of games that don't happen to come to PCs.
But you're not allowed to define a platform by performance either, right? Remember that?
No,
so what are you defining the PC by? Is it the games, or do you prefer the PC for the performance? Because you're only allowed to define a console by the games. Last time I heard from a crackhead. So which one is it? I define PC by performance. That's why I would play on PC. So I don't know. We got to move on though. Developer basically talks about the PS5 and next Xbox release dates and gives us something that he really hopes that they have. He says that the next Xbox and PS5 will not be out before 2020, something many of us have already said. Yep. And he, D-Batch, is basically saying, I want this thing to have SSD capability. Do you think that's realistic? And I want you to think on this one. Like, give it a second. Okay, that's like 5 seconds.
Was that addressed to me? Sorry, man. I had to
yeah, you fraud. You sitting in your fucking lawn chair.
I heard the first one. Okay, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, okay. Developer says no earlier than 2020 for next gen consoles, and he wants them to have SSDs in them. Is that realistic?
Yeah, I think it's realistic. SSDs have come down in price. They're pretty freaking cheap now, to be honest with you. I buy them all the time. They're really cheap now.
Oh yeah, they're cheap, but I mean, you're talking about 120 gig SSDs are cheap.
Yeah.
A terabyte SSD will be $700 or not seven. What the fuck am I?
3 years from now, you think?
I got a terabyte SSD in my PC. It was 300 something bucks, but by then it'll probably be around 215 bucks on average, maybe. And that's a lot of money to sink into storage when you know there's a lot of room in between the drive and the X now and an SSD to get a lot more performance.
They have these kind of hybrid things where, you know, like Intel Optane, where, you know, you're almost getting the same performance as an SSD. So they might go to something like that. But 2 years from now, to be honest with you, it's a long time. It could drop. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's out the realm of the possibility of it being in there. On the fact of it being out 2020, though, I'm still heavily thinking that the PlayStation 5 is going to come out next year. Now, I did a story on my channel, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about AMD switching to 7 nanometer, and they said they've been so successful with it, they sent it over to TMSC that they're going to bump it up to this year. So later on this year, we're going to see some 7 nanometer Vega cards, and because of that, their whole roadmap has been bumped up. So Navi initially was 2018. It got pushed back way into 2019. So now, of course, that's going to get pushed up. I could really see at least the PlayStation 5 coming out next year. So I really don't think the PlayStation 5 is coming out 2020. I really don't.
Well, we will see, man. We're closer than we all think. And honestly, with AMD, after they got steamrolled with Vega, I don't I think they should just take some time and figure some shit out. I really liked my RX 480. I thought it was a great middle of the road card there when it came out, but after that, like, there just was nothing.
The thing with Vega though, the problem that Vega had was that it wasn't very power
It
efficient.
was power hungry. It fucking was hot, and it didn't give you the performance of cars that used a lot less power.
But at 7 nanometers, that's a completely different story. At 7 nanometers, it's gonna destroy a 1080 Ti. You're not gonna have the problem.
1080 Ti is like 3 years old now or some
Well,
shit.
I think a 7 nanometer Vega actually would compete with a 2080 Ti, to be honest with you, because you're gonna have much better power consumption. You're gonna get much more performance out of it. 7 nanometer is no joke, man. It's
what
no
nanometer
joke.
is the 20 series NVIDIA?
No, the 20 series, they're still at, what are they at, 14 or something, or 12 or something? They're not at 7. They're not going to be at 7 nanometer.
I know, we're putting people to sleep.
They're not
Say,
gonna be at
how
7
many nanometers melt my face off with graphics? That's what I.
Yeah, there you go.
About 6 nanometers. So, it's an interesting conversation because I've had a GTX 960, then I went to an RX 480, really like that card too. Then I went to a GTX 1080, and of course that's even better, but it's a lot more and blah blah blah. Now they're coming out the 2080s, which I personally don't believe are as fast as they should be, especially for ray tracing. I'm not even gonna
$1,200.
I'm not even gonna fuck with it until they get faster, because once you enable ray tracing, it's fucking just gimped. So it is what it is.
It gets carried.
But let us know what you guys think in the chat about that. SSD or mechanical. I'm just going to say they're going mechanical. I'm just going to put that out there now. There's so much performance on the table in between where they're at now and an SSD for them to have to go SSD. And instead of putting that money into solid state storage, which is just going to improve load times, that's all it's going to do. They're going to put that into a GPU or a CPU or RAM that's going to literally change the game.
Somebody in the chat had a good point for that. Let's see, where was it? Meat Puppet said, do you think that they'll allow you to swap to an SSD hard drive on the new Xbox? And they could. I mean, PS4 Pro lets you do that.
That would be smart, because instead of having to sell you an SSD, because everyone's got external storage now, right? So that's why I don't think you're going to see giant 3-4 terabyte hard drives in these consoles. They already know you've invested in the storage. You take it out of your X, put it into your Scarlett. It just works like it does now. They could just enable a way to swap in an SSD like a PS4 to let that consumer who has that extra cash pay for that extra speed on the storage side.
I think we'll have two models. I think we'll have probably a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte model next generation.
Probably,
yeah, that's smart.
I'm just saying, like, you won't see, like, people are saying like 4 or 5 terabytes and stuff.
No,
leave that.
They know you own your own storage. They know you bought an external, and they know you're going to keep using it. So I
hope you're right, because that they could save a lot of money on what the console is going to cost, and like you said, put it towards graphics and processing and everything else.
Do you guys have any guesses on how big some of these next gen games might be? We're already kicking like 100 gigs per game down on some of these bad boys.
Yeah, scaled up
50 on average,
Yeah, scaled up another 50% probably.
Yeah.
I don't care. I've got I don't know, 8 gigs of storage or whatever, and a bunch of all of our Xbox One games and a bunch of those 360, all the 360 back and pat stuff. That's all coming up with our Xbox. PS5 is probably going to carry every PS4 game. So, like Dealer said, grab your external you already paid for, put it in there, and just start playing.
Yep. And two, I think things like intelligent delivery and all that stuff is going to get better. So a lot of the biggest files on that disk or that download is the audio files. So when you download when you download like any game almost, you're downloading every single voiceover for the game and every language it's available in.
Yeah.
But it finds your region and it delivers that language to you. Those audio files are several gigabytes worth of data. And like Origins, for instance, Assassin's Creed Origins lets you actually choose what language to download. So it'll download your default native one, depending on where your Xbox is at. But there's options to download other ones as well if you want.
I feel like features like that is something that Microsoft's going to have like a huge edge over Sony next generation, when you can just download, your native language what you need to download in your game file is like drastically smaller than the competition.
I don't think that's a huge edge. I don't, I
I
never
think
heard
it
any.
is,
I
like-
never heard any PC gamer complaining about install sizes ever, really. Until the X came out, people weren't bitching about games that could hit 100 gigabytes, which there's only a few, and those games
It's
are
not like
massive.
your deal breaker. If you don't have that,
Yeah,
but it
like,
is.
I
something
literally
that
want the
is
12
on that.
gigabytes of RAM so I can take advantage of all these high resolution textures. That's why I bought the box. I don't give a fuck if it's 100 gigs. It's got to be, it's got to be 100 gigs to give me 4K assets in Gears 4, plus all the updates over the past 2 years. What do you expect? Like, it's just how it is. So
I feel like in the age of digital where we are now, making files less is going to be more relevant going here forward.
I can see that as well. It upsets me that I can't have my 650 owned games all at once on my 2 drives. I have to go out and buy another one if I want that. I mean, that's a me problem, but it's one that I don't like dealing with.
I mean, just think of a future to where you pop in a game. Microsoft's already starting to do it with like the Halo Master Chief Collection. And that's a first party game, so obviously you click on it, you click the ready to install, where you can go into the game, and instead of having a loading screen that's like, here, come back when it's done. It's like, why did you even let me start it? It's like, what parts of this game do you want to play first?
Yeah, they also let you go in and choose what you want to install with the intelligent delivery, which is pretty cool.
I also think next generation, I think they're probably going to work on some type of compression algorithms to make these games a little bit less lumpy. Because to be honest with you, it's mostly the Microsoft games that are like 70, 80, 100 gigs. Yeah. All these other games that I'm playing from third parties, they're not that big. They're like on the average, I would say at the most 50. Yeah.
Well, the average about 50.
Yep.
I think the average is like 30, actually. Like, you get big games, it's like 50, but for the most part, I see like 30 gigs to 35 is the average.
Speaking of Shadow of the Tomb Raider installed on my X, and that's 25 gigs.
Wow.
And they said it has the higher resolution textures and everything as well, which is kind of weird because the texture pack for Rise of the Tomb Raider by itself was like 19 gigs, I think.
Yeah, something's missing there.
So maybe it just didn't download everything yet. I don't know. But at the end of the day, guys, in the chat, let us know what you think. Hit that like button as we do some outros. We appreciate it. And it was a good show this week, guys. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're gonna start with Addict, man. Where are you at? Where can people find you on Twitter and YouTube? And what have you been playing?
You can follow me on Twitter at man, I completely blanked. You can find me on Twitter on Lord Addict IOP. I'm the host of the Iron Lords podcast. You can definitely catch that Sundays on 1 p.m. Definitely, it's been a pleasure being on. I'm
with Cognito and David and all those guys, good guys. So I've been on their show a couple times. I've directed people there several times. So if you haven't checked out the Iron Lords podcast, give it a whack. What have you been playing, man?
Right now, I'm playing Destiny.
Yes, do not feel bad. Nothing to feel bad over.
Man, you know what? Besides being an IOP, it's nice that someone in the chat feels me there, Shady. Someone else is like, no, you can't go at Addict. I'm playing that shit too.
Oh, yeah. I was going hard all weekend to get that glow-in-the-dark Tron armor, and I got it, baby.
You guys said so many words that did not sound very hetero.
But I definitely appreciate being on. It's definitely a chill podcast, nice to listen to, and I hope the best for the podcast. And I'm also on Planet Xbox. That's actually tomorrow at I can't even give you a date because Kid Smoot doesn't even know the time half the time. So definitely catch that if you like Xbox oriented content.
So that's at did you say your YouTube channel or just Twitter?
My YouTube channel is Gaming Addict.
So check out Gaming Addict. He's been putting out a lot of good content here lately. Hey, D Batch, man, where can people find you? What have you been playing?
People can find me at Twitter at D_Batch, and of course at YouTube at DBatch. I've been playing Far Cry 5, and I got back into the Division since I got this GTX 1080 Ti. I can finally do the Division at 60 frames per second at 4K. So yeah, I just got back into that game.
Well, I'm sorry.
Colt. The Division's not that bad. Come on.
Not that good either. Hey, Colt, where are you at, and what have you been playing?
I'm at Colt Eastwood on YouTube and Colt Eastwood at Twitter on Twitter. Yeah, I guess you could say at. I just started playing the expansion for Far Cry 5. It's the zombies thing, and it's kind of interesting. you're basically a movie guy given a pitch to a producer. So you play 8 different movie pitches. So it puts you in the middle of a zombie scenario that's a little bit different. So there's like 8 episodes, and it's got full co-op. It actually encourages you to launch it at co-op. So I'm sure I'll be playing that with somebody soon.
So that's that newest that's the final piece of the Far Cry 5 series.
Yeah, and even though the Vietnam DLC, Shady loved it, I didn't love it. I feel like I got my money's worth. Far Cry 5 is an amazing game. The Lost on Mars surprised the heck out of me, had me laughing the whole time. Dealer and I played like 10 hours of it.
So good, man.
It's great.
We put like 15 hours in that Aliens DLC.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty cool. So if you guys have a couple extra bucks before Spider-Man comes out, I'd say go pick up the expansion if you get super bored.
Can you get up close and personal and melee kill these zombies like you could in a base game?
No, it doesn't have like a canned animation. You just like slap them. You know how like in Far Cry when you hit them with the bat, it looks like you're choked up and holding it right in the fat end. You just kind of
Shady's upset.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Shady, but they do have exploding head zombies. They have like kind of like that Lambent thing from Gears in their face. So yeah, give it a try. That's cool. I'm Cody Swood. That's all I got to say about that.
He said, "I'm Cody."
That's all I got to say about that.
Find Cody Swood at Cody Swood on Twitter and YouTube. Also, like the Arkham games just got a 9 point something and a 12 gigabyte patch, and a lot of people were thinking that was an X patch. Right now, it's not showing up in my X enhanced tab, but neither was Master Chief Collection, and that is enhanced. So I can't trust that tab anymore. I can't trust the thing where you hold left bumper, right bumper, and then hit the view button to see if it's false or true. That doesn't work half the time either. Master Chief Collection told me false. It is enhanced. So honestly, Arkham, I booted it up for a second. It looked like it was still running at 30 frames per second on both games, and that was kind of the biggest potential for those games, was to double that frame rate. We know it's possible. It was happening on the Pro when the frame rate was unlocked on the Pro at launch. So
I want to see the splash screen on all these games, like the title screen, say Xbox One X enhanced, like Forza Horizon 3 does. That's just something subtle. It's obviously looking better, but I like when I load it up, it tells you it's better.
Yeah, like that way there's no doubt. Like it should say Xbox One X enhanced on the screen on the main menu. That would be cool. But the Arkham Return to Arkham games got a big patch today. I was hoping that was it. Not sure what it is. If you haven't tried those, they're like $10 now for Batman Arkham Asylum and City. Play them in that order, and those are 2 must-play games. So
absolutely,
you got to play those damn games. Boom. Where can people find you, and what have you been playing?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. BoomstickXL. My DM is open. I talk to everyone that sends me a message. The community is fantastic, and I really, enjoy interacting with them. Please check out my channel, Double Barrel Gaming. I just launched the Xbox Factor podcast last week. It's on Thursdays at 11 a.m. I teamed up with the Welsh Gamer. It's a 2-man show, and it's an all Xbox show. And also, Breakfast with Boom is Friday mornings at 10 a.m. That has 4 rotating chairs, so the guests are always new. Shady, you've been on there before. Yeah, check out my content. I do daily content, 2 live shows, and I just really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm having a blast.
2 live shows a day.
Well, yeah, a day would be too much, but definitely two live shows a week is even that stressful. But I'm having a blast with it. I mean, I'm relatively new to YouTube. I only started my channel November of last year, and I'm closing in on 1,400 subs. So the community has been really supportive.
Awesome.
So it's a good time to grow, man. Twitter and collaborations and all this stuff, man. It's a really good time to grow. So what have you been playing other than that?
I've been playing Onrush like it's crack. I don't know if you guys have played it. It is a fantastic racing game, very, very arcadey. But I've been playing that pretty much every day, and that's what I've been. I tried out I've been playing Halo to maybe the last 2 days, checking out the 4K stuff. But for the most part, it's been Onrush. I just can't put it down.
There's nothing like that on Rush. The sense of speed and the wide open races, like quote unquote races. Yeah, it's good times, man. It is so fast in your face. It was fun.
It's I mean, if you're a fan of MotorStorm, which was on the PlayStation 3, I mean, that's my favorite PlayStation racer of all time. It is made by those guys, and you can tell it's just fantastic.
D-Batch in the chat. Hit that like button. We put in work tonight. Yeah, guys, like I said, hit that like button. We appreciate it. It really helps the podcast kind of grow and stuff. We do thank you so much. Myself, I've been playing, it'll be the Far Cry stuff here soon. and I'm back in school again, so I'm kind of back in classes and just just trying to find some time to just get some shit done and make some videos and stuff. So if you haven't checked out my last video, check that out. And like I said, guys, we do appreciate the support. Thank you so much.
We're saving the best for last. I'm so shady. Find me at the Sesh Empire on Twitter.
I've done that almost twice now. Shady. Okay, you got to understand, sir. I'm going to give you a proper outro because you deserve it. This is.
Yeah, I do want to point out that you didn't give me an intro.
Oh my God, two people. See, I'm not looking at the live chat. So here's the deal. I'm multitasking doing a bunch of stuff. So I did forget you guys, and I'm sorry. I apologize. It'll probably only happen 2 or 3 more times. So Shady, where can people find you? And what have you been playing, sir?
As I said earlier, I rocked the hell out of Destiny 2 this weekend with my brother, trying to get some of the sweet event gear, which we did manage to snag a few hours before the servers restarted, and it was gone. So that felt nice, real nice. We also bought all the DLC. We're going in again. You can find me on Twitter at So Shady. I am. Oh, let me reboot it.
What?
So
What happened?
So Shady.
Oh, my pants came off.
I'm gonna restart this right now. All right, here we go. Here we go. 3, 2,
some raspberry.
1. So Shady at the Sesh Empire on Twitter. You can find me at So Shady on Xbox. Maybe we'll play some games together, man. Come hit me up. It's gonna be great.
Oh my gosh, that was perfect. Everybody, come on, everybody.
Yeah. Golf clap.
Take 6.
You said I forgot you, Attic. You fucking
No. You forgot his intro.
His intro.
Yeah, you didn't even. Well, I was sitting there. I thought you was about to like introduce me. I was like, okay.
Oh,
and I get up to my mic, and he was like, okay, let's go on to the first topic. I'm like, okay.
Oh man, I'm the worst host ever. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
This is the best podcast that you have.
I do apologize. I did forget your intro.
That's so funny.
This is the best podcast that you have on your channel. I'd have to say, Dealer.
Yeah. I've only got one, and I feel like that's mainly all that I'll ever have time for. For the most part, so.
No, it was a fun time this week, everyone. It was great. It was good.
Yeah. I mean, we have 400 people just listening to us talk like assholes, so we do appreciate it, guys. Definitely check out Attic. Thanks to him as well for coming on the show. I do apologize for missing your outro there, bud. But once again, guys, we are out. Thanks.
Peace.